So, it kind of amazes me sometimes where the older you get and you look back on your past and you see how you evolved from maybe the big things in life to the little things. Like for me, I used to hate music. I can't stand it. I mean, I remember back in, it was like the late 90s. Michael Jackson had this song called Earth Song, and it was being played on the television. My family was in the living room, and they were enjoying the song. I was like, it was pissing me off that they were enjoying it, so I went in the back room until they were finished singing, because music got on my nerves. And I when my sometimes when my mom would take me to school, I would have the video. Sometimes I would have the radio turned off, or at least talk radio was fine with me, but I could not stand music. And now I can't go a day without it. Like, music is inspirational. It can keep a person alive, especially with me that has depression and social anxiety. Music can't help me all the time, especially with um, especially when I have the big episodes, like severely depressive episodes. But what music can do for me is to take my mind off of negativity. Um, Despite the fact that I had depression for so many years, negativity up until now was the only thing I could see. I could not see anything positive. Um, Not saying I can necessarily see the positive now. I'm just saying at least now, um, I want to transition into that place. But music gave me a reason to keep, I guess you can say in a way, when a person feels suicidal, the best thing for them to do is to find small things that they will miss if they were to die, if they were to take their own life. What is one thing that you would miss if you were to do such a thing? I would, of course, miss my music. Music is one of them. I love music these days, which, like I said, wasn't always the case. But you know, I think as I grew, as I grew up, I started. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but Backstreet Boys were and NSYNC were my first album that I ever gotten, like ever, when I started getting into music and starting to enjoy hearing people sing. Um, and unfortunately, at the time, I did not see this as a sign to say I'm interested in only men, but that was like my first kind of like introduction into music, and music can lift the spirit. Although I actually had before, because I'm old, so before I had CDs, I had cassettes, but I only had two of them, and both of them were from the soundtrack to Godzilla and Armageddon. And music, I guess, over the years, what I learned is that an artist, a person who dedicates their life to performing music, really has an influence on people from all kinds of walks of life. And I can't speak with everybody else, but for me it has an effect, especially with my struggle to want to finally get out of depression, because I can't live like this anymore. But I can sometimes, I feel like musicians have a way to impact your life in such a positive way, in different ways, but in terms of mental health, it keeps me away from thinking negative into, when I'm having suicidal thoughts, it distracts me from it. It helps me find something to miss, just in case I was feeling suicidal thoughts. Like I said, it doesn't work every single time, but it does. Music I can't live without. Like, I go crazy when my MP3 player goes dead and have to transition from into a new MP3 in that waiting period, because I usually just order online. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this because I didn't know how I was going to actually talk about this. But as everybody knows by now, Chester from Lincoln Park has passed away. And I didn't want to believe it. I thought it was a fucking joke. I wanted it to be a joke. I'm like, why? Like, seriously, why? If my depression, if I wasn't depressed for so long, over a decade, and my tears weren't literally dried up because I don't think I can cry anymore, not because I don't want to, but because I'm just dried out, because I cry for myself all the time. I would have cried. I had one tear yesterday, but I just felt a huge shock to me. Like, this can't be happening. Like, why would he do that? And this is where irony takes a big turn. As someone, me, who has a history of trying to kill himself through various means, the tables finally turned on me. The table turned on me. When a person commits suicide, there's going to be consequences, and there's going to be anger and pain and sadness and all this emotion that the surviving family or friends or whoever the person left behind will feel. And that's what's happening to me through an artist that I never met. I was feeling what people will feel when they lose a loved one to suicide. I was finally that person that said, why would he do this? Why would he take his own life? Why would he do this? Why would he leave us like this? And I'm being serious. I don't know what life is doing to me, but it was like the consequences of the suicidal actions, although I'm obviously alive, so I'm not dead yet. I was feeling what another person would feel when they lose their loved one. Like, I never felt that until Chester from Lincoln Park committed suicide. I was like, please tell me this is a fucking joke. Just please say this is a hoax or something. And one of his bandmates confirmed that his death was real and that he passed away from hanging himself. That an employee, I think it was a maid, or I think it was a maid that found him hanging. And can I tell you the worst part? before all of this happened, which only just happened yesterday, I kept telling myself, because I've been having issues with suicidal thoughts again, that I would love to die by hanging myself. A person that was in my favorite band died from in a way that I myself wanted to do for myself. And that's just, I'm conflicted. See, when it comes to suicide, I think it's okay for me to do it, but I'm in complete sadness if somebody else does it. Like Robin Williams, that shook me to the core. Like, I was like, Robin Williams, and I have, when it comes to Robin Williams, I have the very last film that he made before he passed away. And it never gets better. You can go through this 1,000 times, it never gets easier. It doesn't matter if you knew them or not. Because the point I was trying to make, although I usually take the long route, is that musicians have a huge impact and influence on the fans that love them. And when they do something like this, it's like you lost someone that you knew personally. And it's a sad thing, but it's also, I can't say good, but what I'm trying to say is, when a person cares that a celebrity dies, it truly does mean that they care, that you shouldn't be ashamed of caring about someone that you never met. We should be like this. We should love and care for one another, especially when a situation like this happens. And I care badly enough to finally understand what people feel when someone hurts themselves or kills themselves. Because I feel nothing but sadness. And I was listening to like Linkin Park songs for like an hour. A lot of songs I never heard of before. And I think the one song that I kind of had trouble wanting to even listen to was Shadow of the Day. Honestly, I'm kind of having trouble going through any of those songs, because I'm listening to a voice that's not with us anymore. And just like saying, why would you leave us like this? So now I get it. Okay, fine, I get it now. I have a long road ahead of me. As you can tell, I'm tired, and I sound tired, exhausted, and worn out. But I'm also filled with sadness, which unfortunately has only been added to it with the situation with Chester and hanging himself. He will not be forgotten. Not by me, not by anybody else. In fact, I'm thinking about next month. Sometime next month, I've always wanted to, well, for years, I've always wanted to make my own t-shirt. You can go on uberprints.com and do it there. I think I'm going to dedicate my first, here's my idea on this shirt. I want to dedicate it to Chester and the legacy he left behind, but at the same time, male depression is real. People ignore us. Like, I always feel ignored, like I can't get help. That's why I'm doing these vlogs in the first place. Men are told that they have to be the strong one, they have to not show any feelings because it means they're weak, which I never bought. I'm not a society type of guy, not a stereotypical male. I never bought that bullshit. I'm an emotional person. I'm emotionally drained right now because of the depression I'm going through. But I'm an emotional person, and I'm not ashamed of it. I never was, to be honest with you. And because I lived a very sheltered life, I wasn't aware of men and women have social rules. We need to just break those fucking rules because it's hurting us. Robin Williams is dead, killed himself. Now Chester has killed himself. How many more men are going to have to, be killed before we take depression seriously? I think there are more services and for women, which is great. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that what about men? We deserve to have that same services and help and people reaching out to us, because we're people too. Men are people with feelings, with thoughts, opinions, voices. We go through pain. I have 15 years worth, and I still say I deserve to be killed, but unfortunately my suicidal, I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to say that I want to continue to fight my depression, because this is not how I want to live anymore. I'm now aware I have a condition and illness, but I don't want to go through it. I want to fight through it so I can have a second chance at life. It's going to take me a long time, especially because I have suicidal thoughts, but with me, I can fight them off easily now. It's like, okay, I have a thought, let's listen to some music, let's watch prank videos, and I'll talk more about positive coping skills in another video. This is already long enough as it is. I want to fight my depression. And although I'm already technically in that stage before this happened, experiencing what other people would feel when they lose a loved one to suicide, basically what I'm going through because we lost a member from Lincoln Park, I think that's helping me see that suicide really isn't what it's cracked out to be. I used to think, as a person who tried to kill himself in many different ways, I used to think that suicide is the answer, it's a way out, it's the solution to all of my problems. I will never go through discrimination again, I will never experience hatred, I will never be a failure, because a model that's going through my head is I'd rather die as a failure than to live as one. And that's still floating around in my head. Like I said, I really do have a lot of negativity to work through. By the way, I'm also doing this by myself. I don't have any type of support system, so it's going to take me even longer to deal with it. But I think because of this situation of a man who has so much talent and such a beautiful voice, because of this huge loss that we're going through, that all of his fans are going through, including his not only bandmates, but his friends are going through, I think this is helping me see that suicide really isn't the answer. People are going to feel loss. People are going to cry. People are going to be sad. Now, although I don't have people who care about me, I don't think I ever will. Because look at my face. You won't want to be friends with that piece of shit. I still believe that, okay, I finally see that suicide is not the answer. So I need to fight through this. My depression is lying to me. It's been lying to me for years, saying I need to be like everybody else because you're not worth it. I need to submit to other people because I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I don't want to start a conflict, and I have to agree to what everyone says so you can fit in. I can't sacrifice myself anymore. I can't do it. I want to be myself without the depression. I want to learn how to be myself again without the depression. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I was straight out set on dying. I can't do it. I don't want to be the person that kills himself. Now, had I succeeded in my 2011 attempt, I personally don't think no one would care. Like, I would just be another body to clean up and burn it. So I can be nothing but a pile of ashes. To this day, I still think nobody would give a shit, but I don't also want to do something that's a permanent decision that I can't back out of. I want my depression to go away. That's what I want. If it takes me a year or 2 years to fight off before I can get my life back, start working towards getting my life back, then so be it. But I do know I can't work like this. I can't cope. I can't be employed and severely depressed. I've gotten fired over this. I've had opportunities wrecked. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't want to kill myself anymore. I want to fight out of it. My mood has been sliding for the past few months, but I want to slide back up. But no matter what happens, Chester will not be forgotten by me. He was awesome. I love Linkin Park. Hybrid Theory. I believe that was the very first CD I got by him. Eventually I got the Reanimation one, which blew my mind. That was the last CD I've gone back and forth with them. Especially during depression, it makes it hard for me to keep interest in things, and unfortunately Linkin Park was... Here's the thing. Yeah, I stopped listening to their music, but I would continue listening to the ones that I already heard. So the ones that I've heard I kept listening to. I did listen to more of the songs that I missed out on yesterday, and it blew me away. And they started out like with this metallic sound, and now they have a more pop sound. It's like they evolved over time, which is something I want to experience someday. I want to evolve, and my evolution is to phase out of my suicidal thoughts and to learn that I can't sacrifice myself for anybody. Not to win for acceptance, not to try to be loved, because people should love me for the way I am, despite my many, many, many flaws. And that's what I'm getting out to all of this. To keep fighting my depression. Suicide truly isn't the answer. So I now believe that. Especially, losing Chester, forget it. Forget it. Forget it. Suicide, I just can't do it. I don't know what to do though. All I want to do is focus on doing small things, like obviously I shaved. Basic things like that I can't do with depression. It's hard for me to do anything, so I need to take things a little at a time. So obviously it means I'm going to start eventually learn how to live. And that's the problem. I don't know how to live. I know how to die, though. Dying is easy. And that used to be a source of entertainment for me. Oh, I can't. I can't believe this is happening. Seems like I don't want. I don't know. I don't know what else to say except, I guess the only thing I can do for now is to do only small things. If I have a suicidal thought, keep doing what I'm doing by fighting through. And I'll talk about this in another vlog on positive coping skills to deal with it. And if it takes me a year or 2 or 5 or 10 to recover from, I honestly hope to God it doesn't take 10. A year, possibly, but let's just say a year. If it takes me a year or whatever, then take the time that I need to take care of my mind. Because I can't do shit with an unhealthy mind. I think I've proved that to myself enough. And, Chester will be missed. I'll continue to listen to his songs. And I'll use this as a learning experience that I can't kill myself and expect that no one. Honestly, in terms of my death, I have mixed feelings on it. I still think no one would care, but at the same time, I don't want to risk hurting or making anyone sad, so I'm kind of going back and forth on it, but I think the point is, I'm pretty much becoming stronger. I'm fighting my suicidal thoughts. I just need to continue to work through it and not give up, which is fucking stupid.